I'm Michelle Rowan with Franchise Business Review, and today I get to speak with Devin Rogers, who has been a New Again Houses franchisee for about 18 months. And so, Devin, thanks for joining us today. What we want to start with is what were you doing before you joined the franchise system, and kind of what was that decision, or what kind of was the tipping point that made you start looking into a change in what you were doing?
Yeah, so I actually have a pretty unique situation. I owned a business prior to the franchise, and I still own the current business as well. So I own a dumpster rental and a junk removal business. And one of the main reasons I wanted to get into doing the house flipping is just in owning that business, I met all these real estate investors and house flippers and kind of see what they were doing, in the community and just the amount of money they were able to make. So I got really interested in that. And the two businesses, believe it or not, do kind of go hand in hand because I do get a lot of leads for dilapidated houses or people that have passed away. So it kind of really works out well. And then I can handle all the trash disposal and the dumpsters on site for the construction for the house flipping business. So I am currently still doing that, and I am doing the house flipping as well. So right now it's about a 50-50 split.
Okay, so that's always a question I ask is, do you have to leave what you were doing to focus on this full time? And it sounds like no, it's very easy for you to integrate it into your current business.
It is very easy to integrate it. I am definitely more interested in leaning towards doing house flipping more full time and kind of weeding off the other business just because I really enjoy it so much. So it's worked
Awesome.
out really well. Yeah.
Awesome. And Devin, do you have any employees, or do you do this all on your own?
So prior to COVID, I had fully staffed crew for my junk removal business. I had 2 trucks out on the road all the time and a couple part-time helpers as well. But during COVID, I actually ended up losing all my good employees. So I kind of just do everything solo now, but I do have some part-time employees and some contractors I use actually for both businesses that will help me with doing the junk removal and help out with some of the stuff on the flip. So I am able to manage both businesses kind of with a shared pool of employees and subs right now.
Awesome. And what was the length of time from when you decided this was something you wanted to do to when you actually signed your franchise agreement?
Yeah, so it was a pretty short amount of time, I'd say, probably a matter of a couple months. I pretty much already decided before meeting with them and going on board with them that I was going to be jumping into house flipping one way or another. So for me, it was kind of all the tools that they provided and like a lot of the software and support end up just being like a perfect fit. So
So
yes, and
that
it
so
didn't
in
take me
your
very long.
research process, that was the most important part, is just kind of what support they offered, what tools.
Yeah, I was really looking for somebody that could help me. My two biggest needs were the funding aspect and the help with the construction piece. And that was two things that they really excelled and provided. So
Awesome. So Devin, what is your day-to-day like on the New Again Houses part? Are you actually doing the work on the houses, or kind of how do you split your time, and what are you doing as far as bringing business in and then doing the actual flipping?
yep. So I have like the kind of same routines I do every day. Every day I kind of get up and I search the MLS, which is like the multiple listing service for realtors, kind of looking for any on market properties, kind of just hitting all the leads I have, going through my database because I do have a virtual assistant that pulls in leads. I kind of go through there, check out all the addresses, kind of manage anything I need to first thing in the morning. And then I do have a few houses going. So I always kind of work on the orders, go stop by the houses, check on them. And I know you did ask as far as like doing work. So I pretty much, I don't know how some of the other franchise owners do it, but when I have a property going on, I try to go there almost every day. So just to check in on the guys, see if they need anything, kind of keep track who's there, how many hours they're working. Um, just really keeping a handle on the project. So I kind of play the role of the project manager for the project. And as far as doing work there, I will do some items if needed, or on a base by base basis. So like on a prior house I ended up putting in a patio, and I end up tiling like the backsplash and doing the bathroom just for time saving and budget saving. So it is very helpful if you're handy and can do some of the stuff on your own, but you really need to kind of learn to let go to let other people do it so you can continue to find properties.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask. What do you think are the most important skills for someone that to be successful in the brand? So you think being handy is a good kind of, you don't have to do the work on every project, but knowing how to fill in is helpful.
I personally think it's helpful, and I must say, like, I was pretty handy before, but I've learned so much from every house that I've done.
Yeah.
So it just helps you be more efficient with your ordering, when you're talking to the subcontractors. Whenever there's an issue in the house, every house has issues, multiple of them. So the more knowledge you have, you can come up with a faster, better, least expensive solution. And it just really makes it easier to work with the subcontractors, the plumbers, the roofers, if you kind of speak their language and they kind of respect you as a customer. So I feel like it's very helpful.
Awesome. Any other skills you can think of that would be good as you come into the business?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people, every time I get a phone call from a prospective franchisee, they always ask like kind of the same questions, like, does New Again find the houses for you? Do they do this? Do they do that? You really have to look at this business, and it is house flipping, but you have to treat it as if you were running any other business, whether it's like a pizza place or, a shoe shop or anything. So you really have to focus on marketing the business and yourself and being a go-getter. So, it's very hard to find the houses to buy. That's probably one of the most difficult things. And a lot of times you go to look at houses if it's through a wholesale and you're competing against a bunch of other buyers. So it's really good to be like pretty aggressive and to also know all the stuff that you've been taught from New Again houses, like the construction costs, the time frame, what stuff to look for. So it's pretty important to be well rounded. Um, but unfortunately, some of that stuff takes time and experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really important to be a go getter and treat it like very aggressively that you're trying to actively market the business and meet your goals.
Yeah, you're not. And I think that's a common mistake that franchisees make, that all the business will just come to me and I just have to do whatever the product or service is.
Mhm.
Whereas really you need to make those connections in your local community so that you can build the business. So that's great.
Yep.
How about what are the biggest challenges that you have in your day, or hardest parts of being a business owner in general, or specific to the New Again Houses piece of your business?
Yeah, so it changes. I mean, the number one problem for me is always going to be finding enough properties to buy. I'm in a really hot market in north of Boston. So it's very, very aggressive. There's a lot of house flippers and investors here. It wasn't unusual 6 months ago for me to show up to a wholesaler event for a house and have 50 other parties there trying to buy the same house. So that's always the number one problem for me, is trying to find the properties. I've been doing it for a little while now, so I have a pretty good network of sources to find properties, and I've bought properties from every way that New Again Houses recommends it. So I bought them from wholesalers off the market, off MLS, through Facebook ads, through some of their other partners that they do referrals with. I advertise on my junk removal trucks, just says on the back, we buy houses. I bought a house recently because somebody saw it and called. Any avenue that you can find, I've literally bought a house that way. So just being consistent across the board. But as far as another problem besides buying the houses and sourcing them, in the very beginning, New Again Houses always talks about having an ecosystem, which is all your contractors, your plumber, anybody that you work with throughout the house buying, flipping, and selling process. It's just building that team. So it took me a little while to get to where I feel and I'm in a really good spot, with a good team of ecosystem and contractors, where I can start building and going upwards on the properties I buy while keeping super high quality. So
That's great.
yep.
So what advice do you have for anyone that's thinking about investing in a franchise?
Yeah, so I always tell people the same thing. So whenever they call up, they always, like I said, they always ask if New Again Houses finds the houses, and I tell them that they need to plan to work the business and be very aggressive. So it's a very good, very profitable business. Um, it's just, you have to want the business and you have to have the time dedicated to get your foot in the door. So um, it's not gonna business isn't gonna fall in your lap. So any good deals that are out there for houses that are easily accessible by anybody are gone the instant they hit the market or become available. So you really have to work the back end channels, the private sellers, the wholesalers, the internet, anything that you could find, postcards, letters, phone calls to try to find the off-market property. So, and if you can do that, you'll be very successful.
Awesome. And how about your franchise community? Are you connected to the other franchise owners, or how are you able to use that network of other New Again Houses franchisees?
Yeah, so we have monthly calls. We do 2 calls a month, marketing and construction roundtables. So we can go into those, ask any questions. There's team members from New Again Houses franchise for those. They do a once a month virtual meeting. And then there is 2 other franchises here in Massachusetts, and I do communicate with both of the owners from that as well. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. And this is great to share all this information you have. Is there anything else that you want to tell us as we wrap up?
I mean, as far as New Again Houses, they're a really good system. They really care about the franchises succeeding. Their systems are literally spot on for everything that you need, as far as like doing the construction piece, doing all your property valuations and the property reviews and all the aspects of it. It is a really good system. Like I said, if you can find the properties and you can buy them right, they'll help you the rest of the way through to make sure that you're successful. So,
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Devin.
okay, thank you.